The Riordanverse is a huge universe that Rick Riordan made through his books. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Heroes of Olympus, The Trials of Apollo, Magnus Chase, and the Kane Chronicles. Just this year, the Riordanverse's first ever book, or The Lightning Thief, celebrated its 20-year anniversary, which is a huge milestone for us fans. From these 20 long years, fans have shared their own takes and opinions on not just the books, but on the Riordanverse as a whole. Today, I thought it would be fun to go through Riordanverse hot takes, or controversial opinions on the books. I went through Reddit and other social media to get these thoughts, and I'm going to give my own opinions as a fellow Riordanverse fan as well. Also, feel free to comment below on your thoughts on these hot takes. It would be really fun to have a discussion in the comment section below. And last thing before getting into it, there will be spoilers in this video, so obvious spoiler warning there. And with that, let's get started. Number 1. Reyna joining the Hunters of Artemis was really stupid. Now, this is an interesting opinion that I've heard a lot after the release of The Tyrant's Tomb, or the 4th book of the Trials of Apollo series. There, Reyna resigned from her position as praetor and joined the Hunt, because she wanted freedom and realized that romance was not for her. I've seen a lot of people who agree with this comment, but I guess I'm in the minority here who thinks that Reyna's choice was a fair decision. I do agree that Reyna should have been given a bit more time to think about her decision before she joined the Hunt, but I honestly liked giving her the freedom she wanted. Throughout the Heroes of Olympus, we've seen Reyna carry the heavy expectations of being a praetor, and the Tyrant's Tomb gave us a glimpse into what kind of pressure she was experiencing, especially romantically, as so many people pushed her to partner up. Also, I think Reyna joining the Hunt aligns well with the fact that Venus told her that no demigod will heal her heart, and it would stop the pressure to pair up with someone. Ultimately, I kind of agree that it was stupid for Reyna to join the Hunt, given how quick it was, but with proper build-up, I would be more supportive of it. Number 2. Jason Grace would beat Nico D'Angelo in a fight. Okay, I actually don't know how to respond to this one yet. Individually, Jason and Nico are pretty much one of the most powerful demigods in the Riordanverse. They're both children of the Big Three and have beaten enemy after enemy in the books. And honestly, this is a really random idea to me, because Jason and Nico were usually pinned against Percy, and I've never really heard anybody say a Jason versus Nico scenario until now. So, do I agree? Honestly, I think this is very debatable, but yes, I agree with this opinion. Don't get me wrong though, I think Nico is a very powerful demigod on his own. We've seen him defend himself against a lot of powerful enemies, survive Tartarus twice, and he even turned a demigod into a ghost once out of pure rage. Like, Nico is not someone you want to mess with, but Jason is arguably a stronger fighter. Jason was literally raised by wolves at the age of 2 and quickly rose the ranks as praetor. He defeated a Titan single-handedly, and even if Nico can raise the dead, Jason can fight an army himself. Also, Nico's powers drain him a lot more than how Jason's powers are, so even in terms of energy, Jason can have the upper hand here. I love both Nico and Jason, but I can picture Jason winning in this fight, but it would be very brutal. Number 3. The Kane Chronicles is better than the Trials of Apollo. That's absolutely controversial, mainly because the Kane Chronicles is almost always overlooked in the fandom, but honestly, come to think of it, both the Kane Chronicles and the Trials of Apollo are underrated series in my opinion. They don't get as much attention as PJO or the Heroes of Olympus, which is kind of a shame because all of them are amazing books. But going back, do I agree that the Kane Chronicles is better than the Trials of Apollo? Well, surprisingly, yeah, I do. Like, don't get me wrong, I love both series, but the Kane Chronicles was more exciting to read about, which is why I had more fun compared to the Trials of Apollo. The Trials of Apollo was enjoyable, but I think it had way too many slow moments sometimes that dragged the series, especially with the Dark Prophecy or the 2nd book. The Kane Chronicles, on the other hand, felt more balanced, and the mythology was very interesting to me because I didn't know much about Egyptian mythology compared to the Greek and Roman mythology from the Trials of Apollo. Overall, I love both, but I have to agree. The Kane Chronicles is better than the Trials of Apollo. Number 4. The Magnus Chase trilogy was unnecessary. Now, this is again pretty controversial because of how much love Magnus Chase usually gets. However, in my personal and popular opinion, like, I guess a bit of a trigger warning to all Magnus Chase fans out there, but I personally think that this trilogy is my least favorite series in the entire Riordanverse. And before you run to the comments, hear me out. I don't hate Magnus Chase. I'm simply saying that I love other Riordanverse books over it, which is saying a lot because I really enjoyed Magnus' series as well. Going back to the opinion on it being unnecessary though, I'm gonna have to disagree. Magnus Chase is not unnecessary to me. It gives a great story with amazing characters, and even if it doesn't really connect much with everything in the Riordanverse except for the Trials of Apollo, I think it's still a good series that deserves its spot in the universe that Rick made. Number 5. Leo Valdez is a bully. I've actually seen this thought circulate around the fandom a lot of times, and I guess that really goes against a lot of Leo Valdez fans, but as a Leo fan myself, here's what I had to say. I don't fully agree with this idea. The main argument that people point out with this hot take is Leo's relationship with Frank Jean. Frank and Leo have a very rocky relationship in the Mark of Athena, and it's kind of overlooked a lot of times in the fandom. It all stems down to a lot of reasons, but here's one of the main ones. Leo is related to Sammy Valdez. Sammy was Hazel Levesque's crush and best friend in her old life. They were so close that it's pretty much implied that Sammy and Hazel would have been married in another life, but Hazel died, so it never really happened. Sammy was pretty much Hazel's what-if moment, but she eventually moved on from this and accepted her new life when her brother Nico D'Angelo helped her out of the doors of death and brought her back to life. Now, Hazel got into Camp Jupiter and she fell in love with Frank Jean. By the Mark of Athena, or the book where Frank and Leo formally met, Hazel and Frank were already dating, but Hazel recognized Leo as Sammy. This is when things get a bit complicated because Hazel and Leo do share some moments that are semi-romantic, and Leo even thinks to himself that Hazel was cute, but admits that there really wasn't anything going on. Frank, on the other hand, gets pretty jealous of Hazel and Leo's bond, and because of that, there's unspoken annoyance between Leo and Frank. It doesn't help that Leo can be pretty harsh and even rude to Frank so many times in the book. Like, even I kinda pause sometimes when reading, because Leo could be pretty insensitive to Frank, which is why Frank disliked Leo even more. But this begs the question, is Leo a bully deep down, especially with how rude he was to Frank? So, here's what I think. Leo was horrible to Frank, but I don't think he was an intentional or traditional bully. Leo's fatal flaw is his feeling of inferiority, and his coping mechanism was to act out on other people, and Frank was unfortunately that person. To be clear, I'm not trying to wash Leo's hands completely because Leo was horrible, but Leo only acted that way because of his own insecurities. Hazel even mentioned this to Frank later on in the same book. Leo was acting out on Frank because Frank was physically strong and capable compared to Leo. So ultimately, I think Leo was kind of a bully because he did make Frank feel horrible, but I don't think he ever meant harm to others. Leo is a flawed person, but he isn't too horrible to be classified as an intentional bully who wants to hurt others, because if he was this way, Leo wouldn't have apologized to Frank by the end of the Mark of Athena. Frank and Leo wouldn't have made up if Leo didn't realize his mistakes, so that's why I do kind of agree that Leo was a bully, but he never tried to actually hurt somebody. Number 6. Calypso did not add anything into the story. Surprisingly, I agree with this, and hear me out. Calypso's character can be pretty random in the books. Like, we first see her in the Battle of the Labyrinth, where Percy meets her, and then she's unheard of until the House of Hades, which is 4 to 5 books away from our first encounter with her. It's a weird scenario for Calypso, and I hate to say it, but she didn't really add much, especially if you remove her romance from Leo. Calypso's character was used as a what-if scenario for Percy, which is really good, but if you remove her from that, she doesn't really play that much of a huge role in PJO. In the Heroes of Olympus, it would have been the same thing if you removed her relationship with Leo. I made 3 videos talking about Leo, Calypso, and their relationship, so you can check them out if you want more context and analysis on them, but from all of that, I expressed how they shouldn't have been in a relationship in the first place. To be honest, if Rick really wanted Calypso to be a part of the Riordanverse, Calypso should have been left as a what-if for Percy, and the gods would go on to give her freedom, and she could continue to do amazing things like join the Hunters, like I mentioned in my character analysis from last time. She shouldn't have been brought back at the House of Hades, because without her relationship with Leo, she wouldn't have been that important. Number 7. Magnus Chase was a better narrator than Percy Jackson. This is a pretty hot take, and I actually agree. Part of what made me keep reading the Magnus Chase trilogy was Magnus's perspectives, and I think they're really underrated. In the fandom, we all talk about how sassy or funny Percy is, but I honestly think Magnus was even funnier than Percy. Magnus' sense of humor is golden in a lot of moments, and I love them as a character. I love Percy's perspectives too, but I have to admit that Magnus was a much more entertaining narrator, and he definitely deserves way more credit. Number 8. The Trials of Apollo is the best Camp Haplet series. I love the Trials of Apollo, but I had to disagree because I love PJO and the Heroes of Olympus even more than the Trials of Apollo. The main point in this hot take is because of the amazing character development that Apollo goes through, and I agree with that point. It's incredible to see Apollo go from a cocky god to a person who learned how to care and love more genuinely, which is why I love the series as well. It's a great book series overall, but I wouldn't really call it the best Camp Haplet series because PJO and the Heroes of Olympus are right there. Number 9. The House of Hades is hands down the best book in the Riordanverse. This one, I had to agree so much. The House of Hades felt like one of the longest books in the Riordanverse, but it really stood out as one of the best as well. To me, it really rivals books like The Last Olympian or The Tower of Nero, and I honestly think it goes beyond those two books. From the Percebet moments, the journey in Tartarus, the Battle of the Necromantion, Nico's Cupid scene, and even down to that cliffhanger with Reyna, it was such an exciting book with a roller coaster of emotions. So I absolutely agree that this is the best one. And last but not the least is number 10. Octavian is overhated. I disagree very much with this. I think I mentioned it in the past, but I'm saying it again. I absolutely hate Octavian. I think he's rightfully hated because of the many horrible things he's done, and I don't really sympathize with him at all. He was a jerk from the start, and he does not deserve any redemption whatsoever to me. And those are all the hot takes I'll be going through in this video. So how about you? What do you think of these hot takes? Let me know in the comments down below.